Good afternoon! Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. How we doing? How we all doing?
I'm splendid.
Good. I think I need to address something on these airwaves here really quick before we get going. I think we have fake news on this radio station. I think we do.
Go on.
I've long said that 40 is going to be my year. I no longer have a conquistador mustache. I am somewhere in Pedro Pascal, Ned Flanders, Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Like they are melding.
Yeah, for those who aren't aware,
I have a terrible mustache. I look like a conquistador.
It is playing an illegal ID. And I'm here to say, I finally have a mustache.
You do.
At the age of 39, almost 40, we're 2 months away, I have a mustache. And it's very, look, I'm not one to say I have a good mustache.
It's a solid mustache.
It looks very creepy.
Yeah.
I look
The
very
Duke of Wienerville.
The Duke of Wienerville, yeah. But it is no longer conquistador. I can say that. And those that are watching on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, you are seeing. It is very creepy. It is not conquistador anymore.
No.
it's almost like that logo
Yeah.
on the frozen like Tony's pizzas.
I know what you're talking about.
That is so specific
Yeah.
and so on the nose.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I mean, I tried to give myself like even Pedro Pascal, which isn't a great much. I did notice though, because somebody said that about my stash, and I Googled a picture. Pedro Pascal, when he has the beard, he has the same bald spots in his beard that I do. He doesn't grow hair right here. He may be my dad.
Yeah.
I may be part Pascal.
It's not a bad dad to have.
No, no.
Right.
Well, I mean, we missed the child support, but
Back
I mean, I
back
might
days.
be tangentially related to Pedro Pascal. It could be somewhere.
Dad?
Where's Pascal? Pedro Pascal born? I think it was like Chile or Peru or something like that.
Chilean
Yeah.
American actor. Yes, born in Santiago, Chile.
Who knew? I may be.
Gotta get that ancestry test.
I do. I've been
If it
told.
pops up, it's Chilean, I'm gonna laugh.
I don't know where that would have came from. Not my dad.
Sprinkle in there.
Maybe we do need to be rolling the R's in Hera. It's like, all of a sudden I went from Dusty Hera to Dusty Hara.
That's weird. I always thought it was Hera, but it was passed down
Nah.
wrong. It's Herrera.
No, I found out it's South American. It's Chilean,
Yeah.
actually. And
Does that
there
mean you
it
can
is.
have the sea bass now?
What?
Chilean sea bass?
Ooh. I know that reference. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not putting it together right now. What is that from?
I can't remember the movie either. God dang it.
Well, I mean, it's just a dish.
Well, was that Austin Powers?
Think
Was that where the sea
so?
bass were from that they put the laser beams on? I don't know.
No, it was the Jurassic Park one.
Oh, it's close to Austin Powers.
Yeah.
What does it all mean, Basil?
Yeah. But I shaved the beard. I'm going stash. I'm going to the tomorrow. I will be not here. I'm going to the hills.
That have eyes.
Not that far off. I'm going to the hills for the weekend, and I figured it's been enough with the beard. I'm going just stash. I'm gonna go. I'm going up to the.
Nope. That's not supposed to fall off.
Nope. I
Up
found
there.
it.
There you go.
Microphone's falling apart. Got it.
Those definitely weren't $2,000 a piece.
I'm going up to the hills, and I'm going to have a mustache when I die. So,
How's the wife feeling about this?
about my mustache?
Yeah.
She hasn't seen it.
Oh.
Well, she's probably fine with it because he's leaving for the weekend.
Yeah. It's going to be problematic at my daughter's basketball game tonight. Though.
Oh. No, you look like you should definitely show up in track pants and a
Dude,
jacket.
I
You
look like
the
I
coach.
should not be within 500 yards of an elementary school.
That's also true.
It's always awkward when I show up to one of my kids' school events and I forget that I have like the biker handlebar mustache rolling.
See? Yeah. But she's at the age, though, where she's going to get totally embarrassed by it.
Oh, perfect.
She is going to hate every second of this. And that means that I just have to be over the top cheering dad today.
Yes.
Tonight. Like
Absolutely.
I've got to really make my presence known.
Call out her name. numerous times, specifically her.
It's one of the great parts about being a parent that I didn't realize how fun that would
Oh,
be.
God.
And it is great. They are just mortified, and it'll get a lot of looks. It'll be like, oh,
Throw in some very like personal references too,
yeah,
like drive those home.
yeah. I mean, I don't want her to like not like basketball anymore.
No, just not like you for the night.
That's true. That's true.
It's funny. Your child is going to be tormented by a mustache, and my dad, mustache king, very strong mustache.
Yeah. Maybe it's just part of my identity now.
Look, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah, my dad, for as long as I can remember, I've never seen a grown-up picture of him without his mustache.
Oh,
Are
there-
you kidding?
There's no pictures of my dad without a mustache. None. Zero. They do not exist.
Yeah.
Because the only time he has not had a mustache in the last 40 plus years is when he accidentally nicked it shaving and he had to shave it off. And it looks weird.
Yeah.
My father without a mustache is it's a strange thing. It's like, who are you? What have you done with my father?
Yeah, that'd be weird.
I change my facial hair around a lot, pretty regularly. So I don't have to worry about that. But
I only do every 6 to 8 weeks.
yeah.
6 to 8 weeks.
Shave it once, let it go, shave it all again.
All right. Well,
This is the most mustachioed you've ever been.
no. Not like the fall of 2022, I went stash.
Yeah, no, this
I went
is
stash
this is
for-
strong though.
Yeah, it is. It
This
is.
is the
the first one that's like actually real.
Yeah, I told you when we discussed this that you should do it. You just got to fight through it. It'll get there.
This has been a fight that the great Bill Oram of the Oregonian, who's got a really good three-part piece up on Brett Hollins, who's a point guard at Southern Oregon University. Part 3 came out today. Go read it. It's really good. Not just saying that because I love Southern. But he has been, every time I see him, he's like, bring the stash back. He's wanted me to become a mustachioed man.
Yeah.
And so now I'm giving it a whirl. I'll give it a whirl for this weekend. And who knows? Maybe I come back Monday and it's just who I am. I'm Ned Flanders now.
Maybe I'll just take mine off entirely.
That would be a weird look.
It is.
All right.
I use it to hide a chin right now.
A chin?
A chin.
Or your chin?
No, a chin.
Okay.
There's two there.
I mean, there's at least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Some of
at
us
least
have
you're honest about it.
some of us have multiples.
Yeah, the goatee is the longest. That's
Okay.
not the longest it's ever been. It's
Okay.
it's very long right now.
All right. Well, we're rolling along on this Thursday. We've got a lot that we need to get to. We actually do.
No, it's sportsing quite hard.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's weird for a Thursday.
I have no idea how to feel about that.
Mm.
But the Blazers,
They sportsed.
they sportsed well,
Yes.
and they knew the assignment.
Mm.
They sportsed well enough to cover but lose.
There you go.
And we talked about the stinky line. We talked about the stinky line yesterday.
Yeah, I told you.
They ain't gonna lose by 60.
Can't trust those lines, man.
Ain't gonna lose by
There's a
60.
season ticket holder that sits in front of me. And I want to say he's probably got at least half, maybe more. And he came and he sat down and he goes, "Better not lose by this." I go, "Look, they're not gonna." I go, "They'll cover tonight. They'll cover tonight. Like this is gonna be a game within 10. It's gonna be there all game long." And then they got down 17-4, and I went. He looked back at me and squinted, and I was like, "Just give it time."
Give it a little bit.
And then they got right back into it.
Yeah, just give it a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. It'll be.
That's where they're at.
Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. P1B Rod, Dusty, you look like a younger Monopoly guy. Hey, if I'm what is his name?
Monopoly guy.
Yeah.
He has a name?
Yeah. It's like
It was like
Penny.
Mr. Moneybags, right?
Oh, Mr.
Is that
Moneybags.
right?
Yeah, I thought it was like Mr. Pennypackers from Seinfeld.
Yes.
Henry S. Pennypacker.
Milburn Pennybags.
Pennybags. Yeah, Pennybags.
There we go.
Milburn Pennybags. If I'm Milburn Pennybags, sign me up. I'll take it. I'll take it.
This is me learning in real time. I did not know.
You didn't know he had a name?
Also, Milburn, strong name.
Yeah.
Well,
No, look.
Yeah.
If I
You
told,
call him Millie? Bernie?
I mean, I guess it's very rich old man from the 20s.
I see you.
we need to bring back more of those names. Stop with the made-up names.
Yeah. Oh, like Milburn wasn't? That just came out of nowhere.
I don't know. It's probably some like regal, royal something or other. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I've looked at again. We're heading down having the kid path and looking at names for kids, and I'm like, What are these names?
Yeah, it's funny when we started trying to figure out a name for our first kid. That's when you realize exactly how many people you hate and you don't want to name your child after them.
Dude, try
Or have the same
having
name.
try having a wife who's a teacher. You
No,
know how
I
many
have a
names just got
horrible
thrown
kid.
out just right away? Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Like that was a journey. Like it was like we're Xing out whole pages. We're just like, nope. We're letter of the alphabet. That one's gone. Like we're not even touching any of these names. That is a very real struggle that you go through, though. You're like, yeah, no, there's a kid in elementary school didn't like him. You know, that's out. Boom.
A lot
Gone.
of biblical names making the comeback. Apparently, even Daniel's high on the list now.
Oh, hey, you're back.
Yeah, it would come through cycle. Because when I grew up, I was the only Danny Daniel around. Like even a massive school at Bearden High School, I was the only one.
I think my 6th grade class, I was one of 4 or 5 Jeffs.
My name is Jeff.
But one was a Geoff, so we don't really count that.
No, that's not.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Jeff with the G is not good. That's it.
Also, Ezekiel apparently making a comeback.
Ezekiel is? Zeke is a good name.
Yeah.
I like Zeke.
Also, the old, hey, what's your name? Ezekiel. No, you don't know that? I'll show it to you in the break.
Yep. I don't know. That one.
Shouting back and forth.
Right over my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah,
I have
you'll-
no idea what that one is.
I can't say it on the radio. That's why.
Instead of stupid sexy Flanders, it's stupid Dusty Flanders. Yeah, I think we can go there with
Dusty Flanders. That's a name that it sticks.
That's like a softcore porn name.
That's Dusty Flappers.
Okay.
Wow.
And the line, he just bulldozes right through it. And way to go. Way to go. All right. Let's get this program going because we have a fight that nobody asked for. We got the Blazers. We've got a lot of NFL news. And we got there's a lot of questions surrounding the NFL. And some unprecedented moves have happened just this offseason that we have not seen either ever before, or we don't see this very often across the National Football League, and it could be the sign of a changing of the times. But where we got to start this bad boy off is last night. Why now for the Blazers to give the people what they want? Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Blazers fall to the Thunder last night, 128 to 120. Result we all saw coming. Definitely saw coming. Boy, it's nice to see a team, though, that when they come into your arena and they have all this young talent, all three of those, the young stars for the Oklahoma City Thunder, they played the role last night, man. You get 37 from SGA, 31 apiece from Williams and Holmgren. That Thunder
31-21.
31-21. Yeah. You got exactly what you expected from these young whippersnapper Oklahoma City Thunder. And this is the thing that has been the most impressive about OKC over the course of the season. And so far as we've gone through, they played 62 games so far. They have risen to the occasion all season long. Like, this is like consistency out of a young team. And that is the one thing that has surprised me the most about OKC.
Yeah, I was talking to a front office member last night about this team, and they asked me, has there ever been a team, like, by the numbers, be this good at this young? I'm like, no, there hasn't. If you do it, especially if you do it,
crazy.
If you do it by weighted average age, which means you take the minutes played, like that by those players, as opposed to just the average age of the team, it's even more skewed.
Yeah,
because Shea is the oldest starter on this team, and he's 25.
And he's playing at an MVP clip right
He
now.
was so good last night. He hit so much. Like, every shot that seemed to hit the rim just seemed to find its way in. He was so good. And honestly, I thought the Blazers did a pretty solid job covering him. But I asked Chauncey Billups before the game about the unique coverage when it comes to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And he plays a style and a way that is so unique. Luka is going to bully you. Jokic is going to play over the top of you, and just whatever you do, he's going to take what you give him and exploit it. If you take the paint and extend it all the way out to the half-court line, that's where he plays. He plays in the middle of the floor at all times. He doesn't attack from the wings. He doesn't attack from the slots. He doesn't attack from those angles. He plays in a 10-foot box the whole length of the floor. And so you can't double him because there's not a side of the floor you're pushing him to. You're not weakening him to his other hand. You're not trying to, like, keep him from getting to the other side of the floor. He plays in the middle of the floor, so he sees everything in front of him at all times. And he has this ability to slide in between everything. Finish right, finish left, pull up with a floater, pull up with a runner, pull up with a mid-range. And it's something so different and so unique and so interesting. I hate him. He's so good. He's so good. He's so much fun to watch.
He's taking the most difficult aspect of being that creator and that attacker, and he's doing it with such ease. And like, look, I agree with this texture though. Some of the calls that he was getting last night, you were like, "Oh, really?"
It's what he does. It's not Harden-esque. It's not like he doesn't fish for it. He baits you into it. There's a difference.
Agreed.
And that's what's frustrating. You're just like, you fell for it. It's like, no.
Banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah, it's exactly it. And it's not just his ability to change directions and be explosive and bursty. He plays on a different metronome than everyone else. It's not tick, tick, tick. It's tick, 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 tick. There's no rhyme. There's no reason. There's no nothing to it. Chauncey Billups in the post game was talking about Chris Murray.
It's like dating a crazy person.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I mean, just Chris Murray. He was talking about just how to defend Shea. Normally, you want to shade a guy. He goes, no, Shea, you don't want to shade him. You want to split him down the middle, take the contact, and then make him make a decision.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. And what was actually fun to watch from Portland's perspective of things is that was a shot-making bonanza from both teams.
Yes.
And that was one of those games where the way that Oklahoma City was operating offensively, we have seen this several times before, where when a team comes out like that, and you mentioned this, the 17-4 start, where you sit there and you go, uh-oh, this team's in trouble. the Blazers started answering shot for shot. Both teams shot over 50% from the field last night.
Yeah, no, I mean, you get, 51% from the Blazers, 58% from the Thunder. And I didn't think it was they're not playing defense. That game was physical as hell. There were, 68 free throws last night? 66? Yeah, there were so many free throws. It was very painful to watch. I got out of there very late last night.
Yeah, it was a late game.
Yeah, that first half took about an hour and 20 minutes. I was like, oh, for the love of God, please, let's not do this anymore. But the game was very physical.
And I can't remember looking at a game where in total you only had 71 rebounds in the game.
Mm-hmm.
14 of them were offensive rebounds. It's almost 20% of the rebounds in that game were offensive rebounds because there were so many shots just being made across the board. It was refreshing to kind of see Portland be able to play that style of game, and even though they lost, it is what it is. You go down the list though, and really the guy who had the only guy to have a poor shooting night was Ryan Rupert. But at the same time, I think that this is what people had been asking for: is where is Ryan Rupert?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he not playing? And now here we are, we're into March, and we're finally seeing those Rupert minutes come to fruition. Why is that for Portland right now?
And the thing about it was, and this, I'm about as big a proponent as that exists for Roops. When they drafted him, talking to guys, talking to scouts, just the way he was talked about and watching his tape in New Zealand, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, there's some stuff there to work with. He's raw, but there's a lot of stuff to work with. And Chauncey Billups paid Rupert probably his biggest public compliment that I've seen him give a player. He called Rupert the team's hardest worker. And I remember telling you when they drafted him behind the scenes that the thing about Roops that I've been told from all the scouts and all the folks is that he's got that, like, and I hate using this because it gets overblown, but he's got the Kobe Bryant work ethic. Like, he's maniacal. Like, he shows up before everybody else gets up more shots, stays after everybody else gets more shots. Like, he just works and works and works and works and works. His trainer, his coach is with him at all times. And like, I'm there. They had their stay ready games yesterday before the game, and his trainer, shooting coach, is sitting there with an iPad in the stands at 3:00 in the afternoon before the game, watching film, like filming him on his reps. Like, it's there all the time. The reason he hasn't been on the floor, the IQ stuff, and it's not because he's dumb or doesn't get it. He just doesn't have the experience or the understanding. And there's also a bit of a language barrier. He does speak English. Don't like.
He's French, by the way.
Yes, but it does take him a little while to process stuff. Like, when I have conversations with him, if I say something that's maybe simple or flippant to us, I do have to kind of like come back and like, I mean, this. Oh, okay. And so when you're talking about being in that moment, he can lag behind a little bit. So he's got to have a bit more of an understanding before they can throw him out in the fire. And unfortunately, they were so injured in the middle of the season when he was supposed to be getting time with the remix. He was on ankle roll duty, meaning if somebody rolled an ankle, he was going to get real minutes.
And I mean, I think there's so many games, though, that we were all looking around like, why are you not just playing him right now? Like,
Trust.
Games that were blowouts and he wasn't, like, but it's a non-factor. And it was like, the dude needs minutes, and he wasn't getting them in the remix. He's only played 6 games in the G League this year, and I think
he's actually been very good down there.
You've just been sitting there and going like, okay, when's he going to get those minutes? When he's going to get those minutes? And we finally have seen them. Last night was the worst performance that we've seen of him shooting wise.
Yes,
but at the same time, you saw those flashes in the previous 2 games where you're like, yes,
yeah. The big thing for him has been confidence. If you go back to Summer League, he was very bad. He was. And the biggest part about that was, in talking to him, was it's his first time being here, like being away from home. And like, yeah, he's got friends and family and coaches and stuff out here with him to help him. He's still a 19-year-old kid. Yeah. He's a little baby. And so it was a slow burn because they're going to invest in him. It's a long-term investment. They think he can be, I don't think they think he can be a star. I think they think he can be a very good player, and they want to make sure that they do everything right. And look, you can complain about Chauncey Billups and this, that, or the other. The one thing that I think, when everybody's asked me, what's something that you really believe in Chauncey, or why do you believe in him? His handling and development of young players has been about as good as you could ask for from a coach.
And that's why I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't know if he's the coach of the future when things click. He's a really good coach for them right now in what they need. And you just if you hear what the young players have said, if you've heard what the veterans have said, in how the approach from Chauncey Billups in their development and growth it is something that you go, all right, he's the right coach for right now. And I wanted to see Ryan Rupert back in January, when they were losing to the Pistons in overtime and they had nobody available for a week and a half. He has been very cautious and very protective of some of the young guys, and I think that is a good thing, because you see, albeit it's a month and a half later, you're seeing Ryan Rupert has got those flashes of he can be special. He's favorite player growing up was Nick Batum. He reminds me so much of Nick. He
moves
Batum.
like Nick.
He really does, and that is what this team has been missing since Nick left.
No, they have not. They have not had that guy since Nick left. I mean, the two biggest gaps on this team following 2015 were replacing LaMarcus and replacing Nick. And they get Jeremy Grant. He was the best player that they have gotten on this team since then. And then now they're looking at a guy like Roops, who, I mean, the scary thing is, Roops is bigger than Nick.
He is.
He's grown an inch since the Blazers have drafted him. He's a legitimate 6'8", and the doctors told him he has enough room in his growth plate still that he could end up being like 6'10".
Oh, that'd be nice.
I mean, if all of a sudden he's a 6'10" wing, that's found money. I'd like one of those.
Yeah, but it's good to see. We look for the bright spots in a dark season, and he is one of those guys that we're kind of looking at. And we've also seen Chris Murray, who has made tremendous strides over the course of the season,
defensively particularly.
Scoot from where he started to where he's at now. Not injured and on the bench, but
he'll be back. Sounds like Saturday
as a player. The growth and development we've seen out of him, whether it is giving guys that are young in playing time but long in the tooth, Duop, Reith, or Blanton, having those guys just be like, just go do you. Just be who you are. Don't try. We're not going to try to square peg in a round hole. This is why I say Chauncey is the right guy now. I don't know if it's a guy moving forward.
He's great at empowering youngsters.
Now. Yeah.
That's the thing.
And we're seeing that in spades because they're playing hard. They're just not good.
And that's the thing is, you don't have to squint to try to find something right now. Even though they're injured, the last couple weeks, you're like, yeah, no, they played. You don't have to go, well, they kind of played well. No, last night they played well. Against Minnesota, they played well. Against Memphis, they played well.
Yeah.
Memphis, they have more talent, so they win. Minnesota, they don't have nearly as much talent, so they lose. Same thing with going against OKC. Although Minnesota, if you play them again right now, you might be a little closer in talent with Karl Anthony Towns having meniscus injury.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries kind of looming in the NBA. All right, Blazers lose, but we're getting Ryan Rupert minutes, which they're going to be a roller coaster, folks. But he was good in the last two games. This past one, a little bit of a struggle bus.
Sure,
and those will happen with him. All right, hey, we've entered cryptic tweak portion of our NFL offseason.
Oh yes, God,
yeah.
I want that power.
It's here. We have cryptic tweet season. That after Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tannisport, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, after losses to the West top two teams in the Timberwolves and Thunder, the Trailblazers now host the Houston Rockets tomorrow night. Portland 17-44 on the season, the fifth worst record in the league. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Timberwolves center Karl Anthony Towns has suffered a left meniscus injury and will likely miss significant time. He'll undergo further testing to determine whether a procedure is necessary or if there are other rehab options. The Nets announced point guard Ben Simmons will miss the rest of the regular season due to ongoing back issues. Simmons has appeared in only 15 games this season due to the injury. He's got a $40.3 million expiring contract for next season. Over in the NFL, Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporting the Steelers interested in signing Russell Wilson and are tentatively planning to meet with the quarterback before the start of free agency. The Broncos releasing safety Justin Simmons. Since entering the league in 2016, nobody has more interceptions than Simmons' 30 picks. Multiple reports say the Dolphins have agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal with tight end Jonnu Smith. And on the college hardcourt, Oregon men's basketball enters the final weekend of the regular season tonight, hosting Colorado. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 5:30, tip at 6 o'clock, and can be seen on ESPN2. And the Oregon State hosting Utah for an 8 o'clock tip on ESPNU. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Fan Madness, presented by George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law. March 21st and 22nd at the Stadium Sports Bar at Alenay. Do the tournament with 1080 The Fan.
This is Rick.
We've officially entered cryptic tweet season. Chris Jones, probably the most coveted free agent in all of the NFL outside of maybe Kirk Cousins, but I don't know. I think a lot of teams would rather take Chris Jones over Kirk Cousins.
I mean,
he, old Stone Cold Jones on Twitter, tweeted out KC, ... Not just an ellipses. I count 6 periods. Double ellipses. He tweeted out a photo. It was actually a screenshot of his cell phone. He is a Blue Bubble crew. He is not an Android user. We can deduce this.
Shout out.
But his screenshot of his phone, a 1-hour phone call, and the picture on the phone call is Andy Reid tackling Chris Jones after the Super Bowl victory, indicating he was talking on the phone with Andy Reid for over an hour, and now all of Kansas City is waiting with bated breath. What do we deduce of this? Because I take this as he's getting that deal done with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, he did drunkenly proclaim that he was going to come back.
He was going to come back, but as we know with the Chiefs salary cap issues, the fact that they gave L'Jarius Sneed the non-exclusive franchise tag, meaning they are planning on bringing him back, or the team that goes ahead and signs him will have to give up 2 first-round picks if they opt to sign L'Jarius Sneed. With Patrick Mahomes, with L'Jarius Sneed, with the money that they already have on the books going down the line, it's not going to be a mega deal that Chris Jones is probably worth on the free agent market. The hometown discount is going to have to be in play to some degree, and I won't look at the raw numbers of a deal because we know it's always fake money.
It's that guarantee, baby.
But if they can hold on to Chris Jones, Brett Veach has another feather in his cap as a general manager.
He's done a fantastic job with the Chiefs books over the years, and the big thing has been about making sure you prioritize the right guy and bringing that guy back.
Yeah,
they just showed that they could win a Super Bowl without wide receivers.
That's what having Patrick Mahomes does for you. And really, when you get that quarterback to buy into the fact that, hey, your greatness, we're going to have to work through some things, but if you can get on the same page with what we have, and we're going to be willing to move off of guys or make moves in season to bring a guy like Mecole Hardman back after he's sharing game plans of the Jets with other teams, if you can bring a guy that you are comfortable with back, then we can throw money everywhere else. I mean, this is what every great dynasty has done in football's history, is you get that quarterback to buy in, and then everything else falls into place. And what Brett Veach has done has knocked it out of the park in the draft, especially on the defensive side of the football. And they have got the quarterback who understands winning is the most important thing to his career. And as long as Mahomes is on that track, goodness gracious, it makes your life so much easier as a front office leader.
It is pretty interesting when you look at the Chiefs books. Going into next year, Mahomes at nearly $59 million cap hit. Joe Thuney at a $27 million cap hit.
Yikes.
Jawan Taylor at a $25 million cap hit. Snead at 19.8 or 20.
They won a Super Bowl without Joe Thuney, by the way.
Yeah.
They won the conference championship and the Super Bowl without him.
But again, let's kind of like, what does that mean for, kind of his future? L'Jarius Sneed obviously at 20. Kelsey, it's so weird to me that because of the tight end designation, he's at 15.4.
It is the most undervalued position in professional football.
It's insane.
Full stop. The teams that are great have great tight ends. They do.
Because it is a value slot. It is a value proposition. Is there going to be a tight end that breaks that? I mean, if it's not him, if it's not Gronk, I mean...
It will be, and it'll be the next generation of tight ends. It could be the Brock Bowers where people finally understand, like, okay, we see the value here.
$20 million tight end.
Could it be a guy like a TJ Hawkinson in Detroit? Maybe, but it's going to have to be someone who's not paying their quarterback an exorbitant amount of money, or they don't have that game-changing wide receiver that is already taking up a bunch of cap space. So it'll be interesting to see who it is. Somebody will reset that market because the value, and this is why I go, if it's Brock Bowers, it'll be because Jim Harbaugh drafts him with the number 5 pick, and he turns into the dude that we all expect a Jim Harbaugh tight end to be in the NFL.
Antonio Gates 2.0.
Yeah. I mean, he has every ability to be that guy. But I think that we saw the big change with Gronk. Like, Gronk was a guy who, it was like, New England's paying Aaron Hernandez and Gronk what? but they kind of reset the market, but it's still undervalued. Overall, it's undervalued when you take into consideration what some of these other guys are getting paid.
Probably should have the price of those two guys combined.
Yeah. It's crazy to see how undervalued that spot is. But still $15 million when you have one of the best players on the field, the most impactful players on the field. Good little value you got there.
And then Justin Reed at $14 million, who we'll talk about some safeties here in a little bit. The way that their books are structured, they are prioritizing. It's kind of funny. The first pass rusher on here, not named Chris Jones, is Amenahue at $11 million. But the way that they have prioritized this quarterback, protecting the quarterback, pass rusher in Chris Jones, cornerback, and then you start getting into like, I don't say the luxury positions, but I think that's when you start kind of getting into it. Like the strong safety. The weird thing is Harrison Butker is seventh on their payroll?
Is he really?
Yeah, their kicker. Before you get to, again, talking about the way that Veach has done things, Trent McDuffie on the rookie scale, corner pay, he's there at $3.8 million. So they do really, really, really well around the margins, and the way the NFL is structured, the difference between the haves and the have-nots is so wild.
And this will be the fascinating part for me. Chris Jones is at the point where you look at what the market is for the top end players, right, at his position. Bosa got $34 million a year. You have Aaron Donald at $31 million a year. This is a team with only $9 million in cap space, and Patrick Mahomes has a $58.6 million cap hit this next season.
Yeah, they're going to restructure that sucker, and it's going to.
Well, he restructured last year. So you're sitting there and you're like,
do it again.
How much room can they feasibly even make in their books to equate to getting Chris Jones, not to that $34 million because he's 32 years old.
Yeah, get him to 25.
Get him, but to 30 is going to be would be his market value. You get $30 million is his market value. Is he going to be willing to take that 25? That if they can do that, this is watch out because the three-peat may be coming. And Travis Kelce hasn't hid behind the fact they want to get one more. Patrick Mahomes hasn't hid behind the fact they want to get one more. But this is going to be the crazy part about the Kansas City Chiefs. If they want to continue the dynasty moving forward, having a guy like Chris Jones is going to be of the utmost importance. But what hometown discount is he going to be willing to take? Because is it going to be 20, 25? Can they finagle their way into 30? But then what are you giving up at 30? Because one thing that has been so impressive with Kansas City is their depth. We just talked about Joe Thuney, second highest guy on their payroll. They were able to plug and play because they draft so damn well a guy who, all right, here we go. We're gonna roll the dice.
So
and
do they go in?
They still were able to win it.
Restructure Mahomes, but they restructure Thuney. They just go down the list and they just restructure everyone. Juwan Taylor.
See if you can. But all indications, Kansas City, all their fans are over the moon because free agency hasn't even hit, and you got that screenshot.
The biggest win.
The cryptic tweet of the day. I love cryptic tweets.
I would be such just an absolute dirtbag as a professional athlete.
Do it?
Oh my! The emojis and cryptic tweets that I would do during free agency and during trade period.
Yeah.
Oh, endlessly.
Yeah.
I could not be trusted. I could not be trusted with that power. 0% chance. I know what I would do.
I think it's for the best. I think it's for the best. I think you're still probably going to do it NBA free agent season.
I have. I've done it before just because.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, this is a great point on the text line, too. Where they're drafting, sitting at 32 in the first round, they're going to get a really damn good receiver, too. And that's going to be scary.
So dumb.
That's going to be terrifying, is if they go and they get another wide receiver, or hell, with the way that they could get one of the top defensive backs, too. in this draft, with the way that everybody's sorting out how the first round's going to go. It's crazy to think about, but Kansas City, if you have your Chiefs fatigue, I'm sorry for you, because I have a feeling we're going to have more Chiefs winning a lot of football games moving forward.
Gross.
Well, or if you're a Raiders fan. If you're a Raiders fan or a Broncos fan or a Chargers fan, I'm sorry. Chiefs are going to be staying on top. And for the Chiefs fans, enjoy the ride because it is nothing more thrilling. And as every team that was once great can attest to, you will have some dark years when it's over. So appreciate what you have right now because it's awesome.
Go to hell, Chiefs fans.
All right. Hey, we're getting the fight that nobody asked for. I'm here for it. Next on The Fan. From the service that brought you Making a Murderer, I present to you July 20th, an actual murder. Netflix will be airing Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fighting. The fight nobody asked for, but we're getting.
It's not true. I've always wanted to see Jake Paul get punched by somebody so hard that he doesn't
But yes.
have consciousness.
Yes, but 57-year-old Mike Tyson,
He's still got the juice.
I hope he does.
But we also know that this is Mike Tyson just making money, and this Jake Paul, it's going to be either a no decision or a split decision, and it's going to be for a rematch. It's not going to be a real fight because even 57-year-old Mike Tyson, I will give Jake Paul this. He is a halfway decent
No, he is.
fighter as
He
a normal person. As far as normal person goes, he is much better than the average person in the ring. Mike Tyson at 57 is still terrifying as hell.
Yeah, he is, man. And if you haven't seen it, there's video from last summer
Of him working with on the sparring gloves, and the guy that is with him is about ready to crap his pants.
I would be too.
Mike
I'm
loads up
sure
a
you go
hook.
through
It's
this
like, oh,
if,
God.
if you're a sparring partner, you're in a gym, you're like, dude, this is a dream. Like, here we go. And then Mike Tyson starts just rifling out punches. You're like, no,
You see the
Not
hook
what I
load
wanted.
up, and you're like, yeah.
didn't want this. I don't want this. I call takebacks.
Yeah.
I call takebacks on this immediately. I wonder how many people are going to watch this, because I will watch, because it's Mike Tyson. I want to see Mike Tyson. I want to see Mike Tyson fight. I don't care how old he is. Sometimes it's sad to see Mike Tyson. Like when he fights other pros, like his last professional fight, that was almost 20 years ago. And that was sad to watch. The exhibition against Roy Jones Jr., that was sad to watch.
Probably my earliest sporting memory was going over to a family friend's house. Like everyone that I knew as a little kid, my parents brought me over there, and they bought the pay-per-view for Tyson. Was that 88? That's my earliest sports memory. So like I remember like Mike Tyson was like the thing growing up. And so anytime there's an opportunity to watch him, I'm in. I mean, 57. I remember watching him bite Holyfield's ear.
Yeah, I remember that vividly.
That was like, did he bite his ear?
And then what is happening?
Yeah.
What in the world is going on here? This is
He's going to eat his children.
and that's the thing, is that I just, although I'm like, Mike Tyson's going to just crush him.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a part of me that goes, there's no way that this is going to live up to anything that anybody is thinking.
No.
And
Mike
we all
likes
know
to
how this is going to go.
microdose and have fun now. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, Mike Tyson is going to be the raging bull who tries to step on his toes, get close to him, and just absolutely, lacerate his liver.
Yes.
And then knock his head into orbit. And Jake Paul's just going to run from him.
Yes.
He's going to, because he has reach, he has length, he is taller, and he's just going to try
Half
to run
his
from
age.
him the entire time and just try to wear Mike out. That is going to be something that I know I'm getting myself into, and I know it's not going to be good, but I'll still watch it because I want it, because everybody wants to watch the car wreck, right?
Yes. On the off chance that Mike Tyson does land that one, and I'm not going to be talking about the one on the chin, the one that he lands in the liver that folds him up like a lawn chair, crumples him up, and makes him regret every one of his life choices that led him to that moment.
Yeah, he's going to say, I didn't want to box.
Why am I alive? Have you ever been hit in the liver?
No.
It is anybody who's never either boxed or been in a fight or done anything where you've been hit purposefully in the liver, I cannot quantify how much of a different level of pain that is from what you're expecting.
I don't know. I get hit in the liver a couple of times a week by Tito.
Yeah. You win that fight, though.
Sometimes.
You win that
Sometimes.
fight.
Sometimes he wins.
Like you know it's gonna suck. Like you see people thinking like, it's gonna like the level that it sucks to, you are not prepared for.
Yeah.
And it just takes everything out of you for probably a day.
I got a good kidney shot will do that to you, too.
It's
It's
close.
in the back.
It's
You're
close,
in the
but it's
back.
di-
You're just like,
That one folds you in a different way. It kind of makes you do the arched back, kind of like, oh my God. This rolls you forward in a way that organs aren't meant to get hit.
no. Nope.
And that liver, it's a big one, man. And it just goes through your whole body. The worst one I ever got made me puke.
Okay.
And it was just, ugh. So I want to have, what I'm saying is I want that to happen to Jake Paul.
You want Jake Paul to puke.
Yes.
And maybe S himself.
And yeah,
when he gets
yes.
hit.
And then I hope it's Mike Tyson that does it to him.
Yeah, me too. I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. All right. Nobody wants that fight, though. Coming up in hour number 2, there might be one person here that wants that smoke. We'll get to that. But something's happening in the NFL we have never seen before. and we've reached 9 figures in the salary dumped at one position. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Us be a part of yours, whether you're listening on 1080 The Fan, AM 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, or 1080 The Fan's YouTube page, youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan. Thank you for being part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. Oregon State women, Pac-12 tournament quarterfinal matchup with 18th ranked Colorado, which absolutely blasted Oregon yesterday.
It was a bloodletting, mercy killing.
30?
Yeah,
That's
that's in college basketball. That's as bad as the Blazers losing by 62.
well,
I
currently
believe that was a record-setting loss.
I mean,
in terms of margin of victory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an absolute throttling.
Yeah, 14 straight losses at the end of the season for the Ducks women.
Yikes.
Quarterfinal action, though, 7:54 to go in the third quarter. 13th ranked Oregon State trailing number 18 Colorado, 29-27. Reagan Beers, 18 of the Beavs, 27 points. Yikes. She's 9 of 12 from the field. As a team, the Beavers are 15 of 37. So you can do the math on that one. The rest of the team is 6 of 25, and she is 9 of 12. So we'll keep you posted as the Pac-12 conference tournament continues to roll on.
Shout out Mike Parker. Get him with a Go Beavs.
We have the NFL is doing something that's pretty unprecedented right now. We are seeing a turnover at one particular position that is truly unprecedented. We have the safety position has absolutely been ravaged this offseason. And really, as teams are jockeying for position and trying to clear up salary cap space, you have got now $103,250,000 in salary cap space saved by the release of safeties alone across the National Football League. That's 9 figures, dude.
Goodness.
9 figures. To put that in perspective, the next closest is corner, $64 million. So they have outpaced that by $40 million in money saved on NFL franchises at one position, safety.
The volume money-wise is substantially high. I wonder how that stacks up to the volume of total players.
Of just getting released?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not...
How different is this from average?
The money is a really high number, but also what's a crazy high number is the talent that is being gone. Because if you look at it, the players that have been released account for 14 Pro Bowls and 5 first-team All-Pro selections. Like, you have guys like, whether it's Justin Simmons of the Denver Broncos, who is technically a 4-time All-Pro. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been All-Pro, first-team All-Pro all 4 of those times. Same with the guys like Jordan Poyer, mm-hmm. right? You're just talking 5 first-team All-Pros have just been deuces. See you later. We're going to be out.
I believe between Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs alone, you had 6 of those Pro Bowls.
Yeah. You've got... the big names that are out there: Justin Simmons, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Jordan Poyer, Darnell Savage, Micah Hyde, Kevin Byard, Eddie Jackson, and then those are like the established guys. You also have some younger talented guys like Kyle Duggar, who's out there and was released, where they got a lot of miles ahead of them in their career. It's not just guys that are old, have turned the corner, and are just salary dumps for production reasons. You have highly productive safeties that are out there, and I would love to see what the reasoning behind it is, because the safety position is so important in setting the back end of your defense, and that communication that they have with the linebacking core and their ability for run support and pass support. But I think like you can just kind of boil it down to a couple of things that are pretty easy on the surface, but it's a big risk. One, you got a deep draft. Yeah, this draft is deep in a lot of positions. The safety position, this is a signal that the league values the young talent that's coming into the league.
Yes, but the flip side of that is how many really young safeties do we see be very successful?
I think you can pop soon at the safety position because in the back end of the defense, it is a lot easier because the physicality isn't as much as, a defensive lineman or, a linebacker.
Sure.
But at the same time,
Those are typically older positions.
Your coverage is a lot easier.
But you typically do have somebody older back there because that's kind of quarterbacking the back end of your defense. And so
For sure.
this is a little bit of a weird thing, is that more often than not, you have your athletes on the edges in your corners, and you typically have your athletes, in the linebacker spot, but there's usually one older linebacker and usually one older safety.
And this is where I think teams are going to kill. Like, this is where teams that are good will get great in the back end of their defense by the short-term deals, guys that can bolster. I also think a big part of it, too, is we've heard a lot of quarterbacks say that defenses have been capping in the back end, which means you have too high safety looks. And so having the one free to kind of have to roam back and forth and cover substantially more ground, that is condensing down a little bit more. And so maybe you're seeing like a recalibration of value there as you use more too high safety looks. But the safety position as a whole coming into the league, I think that also helps that you can plug in a younger guy back there if you are running more too high safety looks, to where you can kind of mix and match your vet with your young guy. Also, it's just a lot of these teams are in salary cap hell, like the Buffalo Bills, right?
And so that's why. And then there's also the teams that are in salary cap hell that made very bad choices, i.e., the Denver Broncos. And this is the churn that the NFL wants. And what's going to happen is, if you're going to go full math nerd on it, every position is slotted pay scale wise, value wise. And you're not going to start letting the quarterbacks go, the wide receivers go, the pass rushers go, the corners go. You're going to start at the bottom in the value propositions. That's running backs. What can you get on the market that has replacement level value for significantly cheaper? Running backs.
Yeah.
Are cornerbacks cheap? No. Safety's cheaper? Yeah.
You could see upwards of 9 safeties go in the first 3 rounds of the draft.
And it's not even just in the draft, but even in free agency. Like if you can go, if there's all of a sudden there's a large amount of them on the market, there's this influx of safeties in the market, what does that do? It depresses it further.
Absolutely.
So you start just kind of working your way up those value slot boards, and then those will change each year based on the incoming draft prospects. So there's always kind of matching that up, and that's part of the evaluation process. And that is part of your general manager process, is understanding not only what the draft class is going to look like this year, but what the draft class is going to look like the year after. So we need a safety, but we really only need one for a year. Like, even if, no matter where we're picking next year, there's 14 safeties in this draft. We think we can get one day 1, day 2, day 3. Somebody who's viable based on this class. Or, hey, let's take a look around the league. Wow, there's a lot of books that are going sideways. Who are going to be the cap casualties? And teams know. Teams, this whole idea of make sure it's all state secrets. We need to protect what we're going to do with our roster. Other GMs can look at your roster and go, he's cutting him.
And look, from the business side of it too, you see when the first dominoes fall, we do have the position group. They'll flood that market and be like, all right, look, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, they both hit the market. Jordan Poyer hits the market. That's when every other domino starts to fall, which is we flood the market, suppress the value of them in the free agent pool, and then we can get either them on the cheap in free agency or in the cheap via the draft.
And then it drives that market down even further.
It's the business side of it, but seeing $100 million in cap space cleared up at one position alone,
especially with,
and look, we're not done yet.
No,
we're not done yet.
No, we're gonna get till Sunday night, and there's still gonna be.
And Justin Simmons is a guy, since he came into the league, he leads the NFL in interceptions. He has 30 interceptions since 2016. Yeah. He's got a lot of talent left.
This isn't long in the tooth dudes. This isn't like they're past their prime. Like, there are very impactful players. Do they have a lot left in the tank?
Yeah, some guys that are older, but you got miles on them. And that's why you can get from good to great in the back end of your defense on great teams. That's the thing. Like teams like Kansas City,
yes,
they are going to benefit tremendously from this.
If you're a team that's competing for a Super Bowl next year, and all of a sudden you have a 1-year opportunity at Simmons, at Poyer, at Byard, are you saying no?
I don't think you are.
That's to me like so.
I don't think you are. But then again, I mean, they're kind of good with Justin Reed.
No, I'm saying that's
back
just the
there.
Chiefs. But
But
I
I
mean,
mean,
if you're a Super Bowl
I'm
contending
saying-
team, yeah.
Go ahead and up the ante a little bit. Get better in that back end. It's a fascinating turn of events that we're seeing at one position in particular because everybody talks about quarterback. And if you're wondering, due to release, how much cash has been saved, $6 million at quarterback this year.
Like I said, it's all slot.
You do not let your quarterback go. We all know that. It's rare that you see a guy like Russell Wilson. And by the way, you're like, well, Russ got released. Well, we have a lot of, $85 million in dead cap that's going to be hit. They're not taking a savings. They're taking actually a hit in the pocketbook at that position. But the safety position, $103 million. Goodness gracious.
This is moneyballing football.
Nine
That's what
figures.
this is. They found another leverage point.
All right, a few minor injuries might have a major implication. Next on The Fan.
Hello, sports fan.
Few big injuries popping up across the NBA that may have major implications moving forward.
Indeed.
Yet last night, the Unbreakable Man, Mr. Balco, according to Kevin Garnett, LeBron James, he left the Lakers loss with an ankle injury last night that he said has been lingering since before the All-Star break, just has not been able to get right.
It's been lingering since Kevin Garnett said he's Mr. Balco.
This is going to be the interesting part when you talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, where they can go this season. Because if you look at the Western Conference standings right now,
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
But here is, you don't want to ever rule out if LeBron and AD are healthy in the playoffs.
They have a puncher's chance against most teams.
But right now, they're sitting 10th in the Western Conference standings. They do not want to be...
And they got absolutely punked last night.
They don't want to be a team that is just sitting there scrapping 2 games in the play-in just to go and get waxed by, somebody in the first round, even though there's another injury that could also have a big factor in that first-round matchup if they do. But the Lakers currently sit 10th. They're a game back of Dallas, which is 8th, and that's huge. But they're 2.5 back of the Sacramento Kings, who hold that last play-in spot at 7th. They have a cushion, though, of 5.5 games between them and the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, they're not falling out entirely.
And this is going to be the question for LA. How much do you rest LeBron James down this final stretch of the season where they've played 64 games, which means they've got, 18 games left this season?
Mm-hmm.
How many of those do you sit LeBron to get that ankle right? And do you just kind of concede, all right, yeah, we may just be the 10 seed here and we're going to have to go the hard way through the play-in round? Or do you keep pushing LeBron to continue to play? He's got his 40,000th point.
Mm-hmm.
You're really not going to improve your lot in life all that much down this stretch, and you're not going to fall out of the play-in and out of the play-in altogether.
I think you do what you need to do. You maintain him.
Because Utah's terrible, by the way.
Yeah, no, and they're staring into the skid. That's anticipated. But the thing about this is the Pelicans are 5th, the Lakers are 10th. 3 wins separate them. 3 wins. Ooh. Now there's some games played stuff that's back and forth here. You're not catching anybody in the top 4. 6 games, 6 wins is probably too many to make up.
Out of 18 remaining games?
Yeah. 3? 3's doable.
That means you have to have the Pelicans absolutely crater.
Yeah. But you take a look at kind of where things are. The Warriors are up and down. The Mavericks have lost, 5 of 6? They're 5-5 in their last 10. Okay, here's the interesting thing. Go from the Pelicans to the Lakers. This is their last 10 games. Pelicans 7-3, Suns 5-5, Kings 5-5, Mavs 5-5, Warriors 7-3, Lakers 6-4. And then you take a look at their strength of schedules down the stretch, and the opportunities are there because the Suns are one of the worst fourth quarter teams in the modern era. Not for a good team. One of the worst fourth quarter teams in the modern era.
They are the worst in the NBA, and you're talking offensive and defensive metrics combined.
Awful.
They are dreadful. 3-0 in overtime, though. 3-0 in overtime.
But they are a disaster piece in the fourth quarter.
Because Nerf gets into foul trouble. We've seen this play.
It does not make any sense. I mean, offensively alone, but again, speaking of injuries, Book's been dealing with his. And my God, you want to talk about a team that has injuries, Bradley Beal is just a walking mash unit.
You know what? This is karma, though, because how much injury luck have the Phoenix Suns had where, guys just magically get healthy and
had their best years of their career?
Yeah. I mean, it's what Phoenix has always done.
No, they were the fountain of youth. They've revived, probably 24 careers. That's what they've done. But the Pelicans, how often are they injured? The Kings, I mean, they took the Lakers to the woodshed last night, but they've been up and down. They've been wildly inconsistent. The Mavericks have, after going into the All-Star break, 7-0, 6-0, 6-0. I think it was 6 in a row, 7 in a row going into the All-Star break. They have been a disaster, and they're dealing with injuries up and down their lineup. And you just take a look at, who do you trust in this group of the Pels, Suns, Kings, Mavs, Warriors, Lakers?
None.
And you don't.
Suns is the one I trust.
I don't.
Suns I trust.
The Kings are probably the
one.
The
leadership of Kevin Durant will conquer all.
The Kings are the ones, at least for me, because they're the least dysfunctional. The Pelicans, Zion, BI?
No,
Trust either of those guys? I trust Fox and Sabonis.
I do.
Because they're-
After last year playoffs,
yeah,
yes.
that's what I mean. You trust them to not be crazy. The Mavs, Luka's great. Kyrie's a basket of cats. Their bigs can't stay healthy. Like they got rid of Grant Williams, who was just not likable. So maybe that's addition by subtraction. The Warriors, I mean, they can beat anyone and lose to anyone
On any given day,
It doesn't make any sense.
I scratch my head.
And then the Lakers they're obviously LeBron and AD, but beyond that, who do you trust? They've had a new starting lineup again where hear me out here, they're putting their best players on the floor, and it makes sense, and AD is playing the 5. And with that lineup, when they finish the game, they are very good, but they don't have any depth. We saw that last night. So you take a look at how everything lines up for all of these teams, and there are 6 teams fighting for those spots, and I'm just rolling bones. I have no idea where any of these teams are going to end up. They're all going to make it because the Jazz are going to stay out of it. You take a snapshot today, it's not going to look the same come playoff time. It's just not.
No. Well, and one team that's not going to look the same maybe until the playoffs is the Minnesota Timberwolves, who the Blazers just saw, and Karl-Anthony Towns goes down with a meniscus injury that at first they were trying to downplay and say they may minimize it. You're starting to see now that the reports are trickling out. It could be several weeks that Karl-Anthony Towns is out, and there's 18 games left in the season. He's got a meniscus injury.
Yeah. Cat has actually, for most of his career, dodged this stuff, which is actually pretty impressive. Look, Cat catches
7-footer.
Cat catches a lot of hell, rightfully so. He's very weird. He's very corny. Jimmy Butler embarrassed him. He changes his voice for interviews. But he's been pretty damn durable and reliable physically especially for how big he is. I don't think the general public understands how big Karl-Anthony Towns is.
Yeah, big ass.
He is a massive
It was
dude.
funny to see in the free throw lane. He was next to, I think it was Duop Reith.
And Wop is like 6'9.5", 6'10", probably 245, 250.
They did
solid dude.
They did a close up, and it was like Duop Reith, who you just said 250.
Yeah,
he looked like a stick figure next
Yes.
to Karl-Anthony Towns.
Cat is huge,
But he's proportionate to his 7-foot frame.
so you don't think about him being that big.
Yeah.
He is massive. And with,
I remember looking at that the other night, just being like, "Damn, he's huge."
the funny thing is, let's see, Cat I think is listed at like 240, and he's 248. Cat's probably about 280.
I love the NBA. They don't ever want to list their real weight.
No.
Because they don't want to get like fat shamed or something. Like
Shaq was listed at 315. He has come out and said he was 430.
Zion Williamson. I don't know what he's listed at.
I
It's
had
been a
people-
lie since he was drafted.
I had people tell me that when he was fighting it, he was 330 pounds. 330 pounds.
Yeah.
He was listed at like 265. He was 330.
Basketball guys go the opposite direction of football
Yes.
players.
Yeah, you don't add weight in the NBA. Like, no. You should go ahead and kick it down a little bit.
Yeah.
LaMarcus was listed at 255.
That's why it's all out of whack, because they'll be like 2 inches taller, but 20 pounds lighter, and you're like, that doesn't make sense.
And LaMarcus was 280 plus pounds.
Okay.
Like it when you're 7 foot tall, man, it's got to go somewhere. But I say all of this to get with Karl-Anthony Towns is like, that's part of the frustration. Is he's so big, he's so strong, and you see him like, I'm going to shoot jumpers. That's my Karl-Anthony Towns voice. It's
So-
what he actually sounds like.
That's tough, man.
Oh,
That's a tough look.
It's
You
Evan Turner's
just
the
put him in a body bag.
I mean, Evan Turner's got the nasally voice, but it's, he got hit by a car. Cat has the biggest nerd voice, and it's so funny because he'll drop his voice. We had a good game tonight, and it's like, but if you actually, what ended up happening is he got kind of caught doing the voice switch. Was it an interview or he was a Twitch stream from years ago, and it was like somebody pulled it back up and like, this is what he actually sounds like. I think it was Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague threw him under the bus and was
Of
like,
course, Jeff Teague throwing
because this is
under
what
the
he
bus.
does.
But he throws himself under the bus.
Yes, exactly. Everyone goes under the same
Even
bus
more.
with him. But I wanted to see what this Timberwolves team looked like because they are lacking leadership and they are lacking kind of like a solidifying force. And Cat has been at the center of that for 3 years of just being a guy who disappears religiously in closing time. I wanted to see if he could have a redemption because the talent is there.
This puts a huge wrench in it, though.
And that's what he's thinking. You look at the standings right now. How much are they going to be impacted, though? They're 43-19, tied number 1 overall for the Oklahoma City, and then Denver at 42. Do they fall down the standings without Cat? Probably not, because Naz Reid's a hell of a player. Like, that's who's stepping in for him now. Or they could go smaller and
Rudy Gobert. They have Rudy.
Well, yeah,
and
maybe,
they have Naz.
Yes, and you've got Slow-Mo, and you've got Jay McDaniel, so maybe you slide him up to 4. Like, they're not lacking.
Slow-Mo still is my favorite nickname in the NBA right
so
now.
Great. Kyle Anderson, for those that are unaware, he just plays at 1 speed. It does not matter. He's like a sloth. There's nothing you can do about it. He is inevitable. He's going to play at that speed. You're going to play at that speed. And if you don't, he's going to slow you to death. It's great. It's unlike anything else. But you have like the haves and the have-nots in the Western Conference. And again, let's take a snapshot of the standings right now. It will look vastly different here in, a month?
And also, of non-surprising news, Ben Simmons has been shut down. He's got a nerve issue in his back.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad about this because
I hope Philly fans feel bad about it.
Like, it turns out his back is basically ruined. And you kind of go, even when it first happened, I was like, really? Is this where we're at with this?
Back is broken.
Yeah, a little back.
I broke my back. Spinal.
But it turns out his back is just trashed. And people probably need to sign the apology letter.
Are you?
Yeah, I feel bad.
Okay.
Because I thought there was a little bit of excuse making 3 years ago.
Doctor said I need a backiotomy.
But it turns out, no, his back is trash.
Back problems are real.
Yeah, it's 6'10".
Back problems are real.
6'10" back problems feel like that's a real problem.
Yeah, there's your injury roundup in the NBA. Those two injuries, LeBron's lingering ankle. I mean, we're over a month now.
And Cat's got
been
a
going through
meniscus
this.
tear.
And a meniscus tear for Karl Anthony Towns. Those could play
Non-flap.
huge roles.
Non-flap tear. Gotta
Huge
specify.
roles in the NBA's postseason.
Yeah, speaking of adding to the injury report, we might need to add a 1080 The Fan member to an injury report. That is our worst day on the web coming up here. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, after losses to the West top 2 teams in the Timberwolves and Thunder earlier this week, the Trailblazers now host the Houston Rockets tomorrow night. Portland 17-44 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Timberwolves center Karl Anthony Towns has suffered a left meniscus injury and will likely miss significant time. He'll undergo further testing to determine whether a procedure is needed or if there are rehab options. And as we were just talking about there again, the Nets announced point guard Ben Simmons will miss the rest of the regular season due to ongoing back issues. Simmons has appeared in only 15 games this season due to the injury. He's got a $40.3 million expiring contract next season. Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reports the Steelers interested in signing Russell Wilson and are tentatively planning to meet with the quarterback before the start of free agency. The Broncos releasing safety Justin Simmons. Since entering the league in 2016, nobody has more interceptions than Simmons, 30. Multiple reports say the Dolphins have agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal with tight end Jonnu Smith. The Bears reportedly signing cornerback Jalen Johnson to a new 4-year, $76 million deal. And multiple reports added again. They say the Saints have signed safety Tyrann Mathieu to a 2-year, $13 million deal to stay in New Orleans. On the college hardcourt, Oregon men's basketball entering the final weekend of the regular season tonight, hosting Colorado. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 5:30, tip at 6 o'clock, and can also be seen on ESPN2. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rush at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Man, that sucks!
On today's worst day on the web, it's the ignorance of youth. To be young and dumb. It's great.
It
Sucks when you're old and dumb.
it does. I'm here to tell you.
Why you gotta look at me when you say that?
I'm here to tell you. It does suck to be old and dumb.
Young and dumb, you've got the you haven't hit the old and dumb yet. But our particular young and dumb, Mr. Will Ortner,
Bless his soul.
which bless his soul, who has reminded everybody multiple times that Jason Suganik wants to beat the crap out of him, and also that Will has never himself been in a scuffle. So Will instead decided to just go out on his own this morning and offer up this little bit of stupid.
Well, when they were talking about Mike Tyson
Yes.
Jake Paul fight.
I do think that I could take a punch from Mike Tyson. I think this is a perfect move by Jake Paul, and I
what?
think he'll
Stop.
dominate. What?
No, you can't drop that in there.
What are you talking about?
You
He's
can't.
57.
Have you seen him?
Yeah.
No, have you seen like he's done some speed bag stuff and he's put it on his socials.
I'm not saying I could beat him in a boxing
No,
match.
I know you're
Far
not.
from that.
But you could take a punch. He could punch you in the face as hard as he wants one time, and you're gonna hurt, but you're gonna not be knocked out.
yeah.
Wow.
I might be like concussed. I'll be okay. I think I beat a 10 count.
Will, this is, and I'm not questioning you. This is I'm giving that guy more credit thing. This is, to me, the equivalent of Joe Fisher. I could easily run a sub-5.27
See,
for him.
and here's the thing.
And maybe you can.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. It is stupid.
Do you want to know how stupid it is?
That's a really bad day on the web.
Do you know what Mike Tyson's punching power actually equated out to?
Ooh.
They did the math.
What
on
are you
this.
doing? Peak or current?
Yeah, peak. Look,
I don't know how to.
we'll subtract from that. Just we'll go back a little bit.
Is it Ivan Drago break the Russian computer?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. There we go.
So Mike Tyson's peak punching power, based on the data they collected, generated 1,200 pounds of torque. 1,200 foot-pounds of torque.
I don't have
Or
any
force.
frame of reference for what that means.
Okay. That's
Again,
also
old and dumb.
That's 1,600 joules of energy. Is that helping you?
No, it's even worse.
Okay, how about we go full dumb, and it's equal to a dorm fridge full of beer hitting you in the face after falling out of a second-story window.
Now we're talking. I
we
got
go.
that. I have that in me.
Got to put this in layman's terms.
How many joules is that?
1,600.
1,600 joules. That's the ticket right
So-
Is
there.
that how many beers are in that fridge?
So exactly, that's where I was going to go with the math here. So if,
Yeah.
if it's 57-year-old Mike Tyson, how many beers can you fit in a dorm fridge?
Oh, I know this. You could fit 37. It's
The one extra one you stacked on top.
yeah. You can cram that extra one in there.
Okay, so if we're taking 50, that's spots 4.
Can't take you guys anywhere.
No, you can't. Let's say it's 57 years old. What percentage of peak Mike Tyson are we at right now? Give me a percentage. What do you think 57-year-old Mike
We're
Tyson...
at a one-story fall.
No, I'm going to math this.
I'll go with. I'll give
I'm
you
gonna
a
math this.
40.
Are you going to go that low?
Yeah. I don't think we're no. Yeah.
I was going to go like 60-ish, 65.
You want to? Okay.
We'll
I'll
split
meet
the
you in the
difference.
middle. Yeah, we'll go 55. Let's go 55.
Okay.
We'll go 55%.
So 1,600 joules times 0.55.
Again.
That's 880 joules.
okay.
So if we're doing that, now let's go,
It's 1.5 stories of a beer fridge falling.
or the fridge itself, let's go 37 times 0.55. That's now a fridge with only 20.35 beers in it.
Okay. Yeah, that's still really heavy. That hurt.
Mhm.
I think and I have thought this too. The question being posed, how long could you last in a ring with Mike Tyson? And my answer is, I think I could run away from him for 20 seconds. And then the fight's over.
Well, the thing is,
I can run from him for that long.
Is that because you Paul Pierce yourself in the middle of the ring?
well, no, Mike Tyson is. This is.
I think once he hits me, it's done. But I think I can get away for that. For that,
Remember,
I can run.
Mike Tyson was a guy who knocked out people punching them through their gloves.
Yeah, I understand this. That's why I'm just saying that bell rings, and it's the cat and mouse game. I know he's charging. I saw the fight with Hurricane Peter McNeely, and that was he just ran across the ring, hit him once, and that was a professional fighter in his prime.
Yes.
And he's not a good professional fighter, but he's a professional fighter in his prime, and it was like, boom, done. And I remember that was the one time where my dad was like, we paid for that? It was like the big comeback fight. I was like, that's it?
My dad got his money back for the Holyfield ear-biting pay-per-view.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, you did say he had a mustache of power.
Yeah.
And he has had one his entire life, and so that he got his money back. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that is a very foolish thing that young Will Ortner is saying. But you know what?
Okay, we
own it. If you are that, own it. Just like Will Darkins with the hippopotamus.
Yeah.
Just like Joe Fish with the 40-yard dash.
I would like to have like a day where we make all three of those things come true.
Like we take Will to the zoo?
Yeah.
I don't think we want to see that.
I do.
No. I like Will Darkins.
And gamble on it.
I like Will Darkins.
Silverback gorilla.
I don't want to see. Like the one thing I would be willing to watch is Joe Fisher run the 40 because there's 2 deaths that are involved here.
Who dies sooner? Will and Mike Tyson in a cage fight.
Okay.
Or Will Darkins in a cage in a zoo exhibit with the hippos. In that space.
I think that it's Darkins. I think Darkins dies
because the hippo gets up to like what 35 miles an hour.
Yeah,
even though you're in a much larger enclosure.
Yeah, the
hippo closes ground.
Yeah, and I think that like there's a referee in the cage fight.
No.
Like you just leave Mike Tyson to his own devices and let him just go.
Mm-hmm.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
And I think it's Ortner. I think Ortner
because it's a smaller space, but it's an older Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So he's just not quite as
like, and I think Darkins will rodeo clown this thing, and like they got like hollow logs. He'll like jump into one of those, and like the hippo would just like crunch it, and then he'll scurry around for a little bit. Yeah, it's either way. This is over fast, and it's death on both ends. I mean, Ortner and Darkins.
I need Mills Lane to give me a let's get it on celebrity death match kind of situation.
I can't believe you want to actually see this happen.
I'm just saying.
I wonder how.
Not only do I want to see it happen, I want to gamble on it.
The thing that I know, though, is by watching Tiger King, is that maybe the Oregon Zoo isn't the place that'll let it happen. But there's some zoos like in Ohio or
Florida.
Oklahoma or Florida. They got
a spare hippo in Florida.
They'll be like, yeah, for the right price, sure, you hop in there. I don't care.
We can ring up a third match with Mike Tyson's Tiger.
No, he got rid of that tiger a long time ago.
Did he?
Yeah. Couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford it.
Which is why he's fighting Jake Paul.
There you go.
Full circle.
No?
All right.
I just agree. It is full circle.
No, and I was thinking no on the tiger fight. That was me being secondarily disappointed.
No.
What?
Why do you want to see your coworkers die?
We only have so much
Have
money.
you been paying attention the last year and a half?
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Sorry about that. I
do have additional clarification.
And Swag squatting 300 pounds too. That's a good one, Rufio. Rufio texts that in Vancouver Ford text line. Swag thinks he can squat 300 pounds.
Right now?
He would just crumble under 300 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be...
That's tough.
He could get the weight off of the bar, and then right when he starts that squat, it would just... He'd be done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's... He's too tall and too gangly. He doesn't have the mass to support that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just gonna say the man I don't think has lifted weights in. Yes.
We do have further clarification on the math involved for the Tyson punch at the prime. It's also akin to getting hit by a Vespa at 15 miles an hour.
Oh, I've seen YouTube videos of that.
How'd they do?
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good. Didn't turn out well.
I don't think people realize that 15 miles an hour is faster than probably the average person sprints.
It's
not
when you
slow.
have the mass behind it.
Yeah,
it's
what I mean.
a lot.
Like,
fast.
it's a lot. So, all right, coming up next, an unholy union or the holiest of unions. Danny and Dusty, 10 The Fan.
Boom, done.
Here comes
When all three of us were growing up, there was a desire to have fusion in everything. Let's combine this. Let's combine this. Let's combine this. And I say most of it was crap. Most of it wasn't good. Like who asked for this? I think that's where it was born out of.
What? Give me examples of what you're talking about, because I just think of the delicious ones.
Such as?
Well, let's see here. The Dorito taco from Taco Bell.
I was going to go with perhaps like the old Mexican Korean fusion, like what was the place? Koi fusion.
I mean, yeah, you went to something really good.
Mhm.
I just went with something that, hey, this actually worked out okay. The Doritos Locos taco.
I think a lot of them ended up.
Are you talking
like,
Long John Silver's Taco Bell in one,
There
one
you
building?
go.
Okay, yeah.
Also, a lot of the salt and straw combinations.
I don't understand who orders a lot of those.
I was
Yeah.
like, but why?
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't need like rose hips and sweet water.
No.
Just can I have some chocolate and peanut butter?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't need lavender and
I don't need things that go in my soap and my food.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're in my soap or my candles, I do not want to eat them.
Yeah, it's fine if my armpits smell like that. I don't want my breath smelling like
But
that.
you know
No.
what? I understand for those that are thinking, I am uncultured swine. So
Oh, I openly admit I have the palate of an 8-year-old.
you do.
I do.
Yeah, little hot pockets.
I'm just a shade this side of Dan Orlovsky.
But there are some unions that, I mean, they can be pretty good. Can I present to you a new proposition between IHOP and Applebee's to have dual branded locations?
No. No.
No?
No. I mean, I don't know when the last time I've been to either of those, an IHOP or an Applebee's.
I do love me an Applebee's.
We were just at IHOP a couple weeks ago.
How is it? Does it look the same? Do they still have like the mid-90s dangling
Yes.
light fixtures?
Yes.
Okay.
Like all the turquoise leather on the booths.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing has changed.
No.
Okay.
Cigarette stains in the ceiling.
How does this work? How are you going to mesh an IHOP and an Applebee's? Because they are two vastly different businesses.
Well,
Are they?
You could. I mean, yeah.
Well,
they are.
yeah. I mean, you go in,
morning drunk food versus evening drunk food.
you walk into an Applebee's, you know exactly what you're getting. Like the bar's in the center.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the old Cheers style bar. They have the dangly lights that are the green lamps
Yep.
around them.
Some jerseys on the wall.
Jerseys on the wall, all local.
Yep.
You got the wooden booths with the red leather on them. Like,
Like
I
the high
know,
school football pennants.
yeah, I know what I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
in an Applebee's. I know what I'm getting in an IHOP too, because it's got like a picture of like Dwight D. Eisenhower on the wall. I don't know why. It's
Because that was when it was built, and that's who they had the president.
they have framed posters.
Honoring the creation of the interstate freeway system.
They have like the framed posters of like the red, white, and blue pancake special. That I was like, do you need something that big? I have a menu right in front of me. I know what you have here.
Also, IHOP, huge menus.
It's the International House of Pancakes. The aesthetics are completely different here.
But they're combining the aesthetics and their menus.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I think it does. You get your morning fix and your evening fix.
Yeah.
This drives. Nobody goes to Applebee's for the mornings. They don't even open until 11 o'clock. So now nobody goes really to IHOP for the evenings.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I could see a place where I can go in and choose from a Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity or boneless or bottomless
apps?
rib tips.
Wait a minute. Can you get pancakes in a marg? Is that- is it-
Ooh.
Yes, I'd like the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity in a Long Island.
Right? Now
Sir,
we're talking.
it is 7 a.m.
And?
my order stands.
I think I've talked myself into this.
I'm reading an article now about this. A parent company of IHOP and Applebee's has announced it's begun opening dual-branded locations, combining back of the house cooking areas and blending front of the house dining areas, though with discrete entrances. Wait,
What, they got a speakeasy?
I think that's what.
I want to walk. Please tell me there's a giant keg that I can pull the door open and walk into.
So
the keg.
is it
Hey,
like?
look, we know that you don't really want to be seen walking into the neighborhood.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you came to IHOP, hit this back door here, and you got.
You could go into
you got the
Applebee's, or if you're ashamed of the IHOP, you walk into the Applebee's and you go through the side door to pop into the
So,
IHOP.
Well,
This
and
is
2
the-
hours after you get home from these joints, everything goes out the back door.
So I'm thinking what happens here is we've got a situation. I remember going to Sherry's back in the day when you had your smoking and non-smoking sections, and what was the dividing factor of that was like a 3-foot piece of plexiglass on the back of one of the booths. It's like, then you'll never notice.
Yeah, just the
It's fine.
stained glass windows in between the
No, no,
sides
no,
that
no,
rose
no.
up about 2
Yeah.
feet.
You're like, yeah. No, this is the non-smoking side. You just can't smoke here.
Clearly,
Like I remember that vividly. And what I'm thinking is going to happen here is you're going to walk into a building and you're going to be like, I walked into Applebee's, and then you just walk through that imaginary barrier, and all of a sudden you're in an IHOP.
you just stand in the middle of the restaurant. IHOP.
Well, see, that's going to be
Applebee's. IHOP. Applebee's.
that's going to be
dancing
an
back and
issue
forth.
for all the people that are super high going in there at night. Be like, whoa. I
think-
thought I was at Applebee's.
I think that's what they're
you
trying to
can-
go
How
for.
did I get into an IHOP?
You can cut that one down to just all the people going in there late at night. You added an extra word of hi.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just all the people that are going there and I just like, what? What they're doing is cornering the market on the olds, though. This is what they're trying to do. Is it's a one-stop shop where you can just you can go breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
but what if
all
I gave you the
olds.
one-stop shop for crazy and said, what if we combined a Waffle House and a Chili's?
No, you can't have that. That
Mhm.
no, you can't have that.
That's it is a Florida man
I think
special.
that's the county jail.
It's just a county jail with a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my first introduction into Waffle House was
You can actually go there and bet on Will Darkins fighting a hippo.
no, it was 11:30 at night, and it was like, dude, we got to go to the Waffle House now because you don't want to go there after midnight.
No, the
And
sun
then
has gone
after-
down.
After midnight, it was like we were eating, and it was like, oh, people are getting more drunk and more violent, and so we went back and just walked by later.
No, yeah, for sure, because it's great people watching. But no,
It
part of the
really
hiring
was.
process is what your fighting style is.
I would say that that's probably true. I think that
You're-
is probably true.
let me
Like,
ask
how
you,
many
like-
fights you been in? No, you can be the head cook.
Not even just like what is your like preferred fighting style? You a Krav Maga? You a boxer? You a wrestler? Like what do you got? You got to make sure you're front of house and back of house that you can.
Yeah.
You don't want to have too many hand to hand. You got to have a few. You got to have a few folks that can take it to the ground.
And I'm dirty. I just go straight to the kick to the nuts.
Well, what
Yeah.
are you going to do when the Waffle House go-to fighting style is pick up metal chair and throw it? Because I've seen
It's been a go-to.
There's
I've
not a whole
seen
lot of
the-
answers for that one.
I've seen about 80 videos of fights at Waffle House that
But it's also-
include the chair getting picked up.
When are
and
they going to
tossed.
start to learn to start bolting down these chairs and tables?
Yeah, have they learned nothing from Burger King? Where they had like the swing out chairs that
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah,
Like, it
bolted
didn't
underneath
matter.
the
You
table.
know, that's actually something that's gone is the swivel chair.
it was non-discriminatory either. Like it would be old people, young people. You were hitting your knee getting in and out of the table at the Burger
and it
King.
also it didn't even fat shame because that swivel chair was always like way away from the counter.
What? This just blew my mind. Waffle House and a Golden Corral inside of Walmart. Discounts on marriages. If you can prove you're not related.
Boy, when I call
That's
something
a
one-stop
text.
shopping.
Wow.
Also from the Vancouver Ford
Like
text
at
line,
Target has Starbucks.
it does save you.
Walmart's got the Waffle.
It does save you a trip. You mentioned the IHOP in the Long Island in the morning.
Yeah.
What if you just go to that late night happy hour and get smashed at the Applebee's, and then you just go right to the IHOP for the late night IHOP sesh?
Hey, I've talked myself into this.
See,
I'm here for it now.
this is a holy union.
Nobody asked for it, but they're playing 3D chess when we're all playing checkers here.
I'm trying to think of like what other combinations out there would we really want to put together.
Oh boy, I don't know. Because we've seen this, like the Pepsi Corp, which owned Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, all those places.
We do have
a long
KFC. What is it? KFC
A&W.
Taco Bell? No, KFC A&W.
KFC
Yeah,
A&W.
that's a nice little.
There's
That's
one
a
of those
good
in
one.
Hillsborough.
That's a
Yeah.
sneaky good one.
That's a good one. But I remember going into a Taco Bell Pizza Hut in San Francisco
Oh.
in the late 90s.
Have you seen
and
the new
it was one of those ones where the smell when you walked in, this
You
is
didn't know
one
what
of
to
the
do?
problems. You're just like, oh.
Have you
boy.
seen the new
Pizza sauce and taco meat. huh?
It was
KFC's doing it on
overwhelming.
their own. Have you seen the new Chizza?
No.
It is a pizza cooked on top of a piece of fried chicken.
We don't need this. I mean, we don't need that.
Do you
We don't
remember?
need that.
Do you remember when they did the sandwich where
Yeah,
the buns was
Yeah,
each
the
one was
double
a,
down.
Yeah,
Yeah, where instead of the bun, it was a couple of chicken breasts.
there's a couple of
Now,
chicken breasts.
where they
Deep
did
fried,
get
of
me,
course.
where they
Yes.
did get me back in college was when they did like the bowls, which was they just had mashed potatoes, corn, gravy, and chicken,
Yeah.
just right there.
Yep.
That was like, I am gonna eat this.
Which, if you ever went to KFC, you would take home and just do on your own.
yeah,
So it was just like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
You could get me with a Popeyes because I'm more of a Popeyes than a KFC guy.
Okay.
If you could get me with a Popeyes Wendy's. You could get me with the Popeyes
I feel
Wendy's
like those
combo.
are too close. What about like a Popeyes and a Baskin Robbins. Get your salty and your sweet.
Yeah, I would eat there.
Yeah?
I'd eat there.
Yeah, right?
I'd do that. Yeah. I think that is a good one. Adding the ice cream place to it.
You got to get your
It's fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get your contrasts to make this work. It's IHOP and Applebee's.
Now we got people defending the double down. You get the grilled double down, it's keto friendly.
Hey, look, man, you got to do what you got to do. Speaking of doing what you got to do, some teams are going to have to sign some of these quarterbacks. Dusty and I will take a look and find the best possible destinations for all or the top free agent quarterbacks. I'm up here in hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Hour number 3 here on a Thursday afternoon in kind of sunny Portland. It sucks less outside.
It's cold, but it's
sucks
refreshing
less.
to see the sun.
It's not that bad.
It's crazy how we're like, you know what? We got a little sunshine.
There you go.
We'll take
We'll
it.
take it. Which we'll take it when you tune into 1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Whether you're listening on radio, on the app, stream it on the website, or watch it on YouTube, youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.com/1080 AM The Fan, or you can text the show on the Vancouver Ford text line. We appreciate you. We love you. You're
We
wonderful.
do. I love you.
And
Don't
if
forget
you
95 HD2.
Yeah.
I always
Ni-
forget the HD2.
Yeah, don't forget 99.5
I've never been
HD2.
so bougie that I have HD radio.
We have it in one of our cars.
Both of you do.
It sounds fantastic. Crystal clear.
It is. It's a little bit more delayed because of the
Yes,
processing.
it is.
Sure.
But it's
makes
the
it better.
same as watching on YouTube.
It's the caviar of radio.
Well, except I don't like
I don't-
caviar.
What is the? It's just fancy.
Fancy.
Okay. I don't know why rich people eat caviar.
Tastes like crap.
It does not taste good.
I've had.
How about it's the Prosecco of radio.
There you go.
Oh, prosecco.
Oh.
Yeah,
We're nice and bubbly.
bubblies, not champagne.
Not champagne.
Prosecco though.
Yeah.
The point is, we love you, and if you love us, come join us. The best basketball
Yes.
party is back. George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law presents Fan Madness Thursday and Friday, March 21st and 22nd from noon to 7 each day. There's no better place to watch the tournament than the Stadium Sports Bar, home of the A Sports Book. It is awesome. Absolutely awesome up there. Unfortunately, I was not up there last year because I was recovering from surgery. You guys all were.
It was awesome. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun, and I can't wait for this one. Just to be running around and placing the bets in commercial breaks. So if you are there and I just run right past you, it's because I got a bet I got to place.
Or
all right?
you're running
It's
to the
time
bathroom.
sensitive. No, I'll waddle that. It's like a run to the
It's a live bet.
Yeah, you got to get it before the books close. You don't want those lines changing on you.
It is true. Both Dusty and I will be out there. Isaac and Suk will be out there live and on location. I'm probably going to find a way to spend a lot of time there after the show.
Yeah.
There's no Blazers game Thursday, so I'm definitely hanging out. Friday, gonna have to bail out pretty quick because there is a Blazers game that night. Make the quick little drive down, but come hang out with us. Fan Madness is presented by George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law. Injuries and missing work ruining your day? Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com. He'll make them pay. For more information on Fan Madness, go to 1080thefan.com.
We got a barn burner here. 11 seconds to go in overtime.
Lady Bees.
Pac-12 quarterfinal. It's 63-63 with the Buffs in Oregon State. Beavs just made their fifth three-pointer of the game. They're now 5 of 21 from three-point range. But that fifth one coming at the most opportune time ever as they've tied it up with 11 seconds to go. So there's your update to the Oregon State women's as they're heading to now double overtime. We have gone to the
It
end
is
of the
official,
first.
63-63 going into double OT.
Yep.
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 You said like 11 seconds to go, so I was just updating.
I was, yeah.
Oh.
I was doing that.
Oh, there you go. You said 11 seconds. I was just going to get home and yell. There you go. Tried to help. It happens.
You guys are already like an old married couple. No, you said this. I swear.
I was just getting, sometimes the feeds, they don't match.
What'd you say?
It is what it is.
Goodness gracious.
All right, let's talk some NFL. Oh wait, no, we got to go to break.
Yeah.
When we come back,
All right, way to go. Radio professionals.
when we come back, the best landing spots for the best free agent quarterbacks that are out there. Danny Dusty today, the Fan.
What do I even call this segment on the chapters?
The best basketball
you want to get even with me? I can start talking and you can plow right through. Oh, God. Yesterday we talked about the best potential free agents that were non-quarterbacks and kind of prioritize the three that we would take. There's a handful of quarterbacks that are out there right now that can help an NFL team right away. You got the Kirk Cousins, you got the Baker Mayfields, and the Ryan Tannehills of the world. You can look at the backups with Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett and go, okay, they could be helpful. But I think the three guys there, you've got legitimate starter, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, legitimate starter, Ryan Tannehill, stopgap starter. What are the landing spots for those three quarterbacks where you go, that makes absolute sense?
I think with Kirk Cousins, there's a report from Pro Football Talk that I know everybody's kind of shrugging at that he's looking at properties in Atlanta. I think Atlanta's the perfect fit.
Yes,
for Kirk Cousins. I think that would be a good fit. You just need a guy to distribute the ball and not screw it up. You have plenty of playmakers around him. You got him at every level, and I think they could be very good. So I think Kirk Cousins in Atlanta.
What do you think that deal looks like?
It's not going to be a fully guaranteed deal, and I think he knows that. When
Is this
Minnesota
a
wasn't
one and
going
done
to do it, I bet it's probably
three.
I bet it's a 3-year deal with 2 and an option on it because he is
With
coming off
non-guarantees in year 2.
He's coming off an Achilles injury, so you're sitting there and you're looking at it going, what kind of Kirk Cousins are we going to be getting back? Even though the Achilles has changed. I mean, it doesn't seem like it is nearly the death sentence that it once was. For Baker Mayfield, I think he just stays. I don't see him leaving Tampa.
Not only that, do you think that there's a better fit for him anywhere else?
No. I mean,
I can make one argument.
I think Minnesota would be a very good option for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Atlanta would be too. But other than that, no. Because I look at Pittsburgh, I think Russell Wilson ends up in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I think that's okay. And I don't think that's a good fit for Baker Mayfield. I don't think that he and Mike Tomlin are going to be the best of buds. Nor do I think Russell Wilson will.
No, I think and that's the thing is everybody keeps talking about that. Mike Tomlin will kill him.
But I think Russell Wilson's going to be going there with the tail between his legs. And I think that's the important thing, is that I think he is not this has got to be humbling for him. And if it's not, his career's done. Done.
Do you see him ever making the transition to backup?
No.
It's starter and then hang it up, right?
Yep.
Doesn't hang on.
No. Like, we don't see guys who go and win Super Bowls who, like, in all of this, like, Russell Wilson, the question with Russell Wilson is, like, it was like surefire first ballot Hall of Famer to, if this continues to go sideways and he's a horrible teammate, it's not first ballot, it's not second ballot. It is like you go to the third ballot. But right now, all of his numbers, they stack up to being a surefire Hall of Famer. He's got a Super Bowl, went to another Super Bowl. You have a longevity where he has the second highest completion percentage in NFL history, only behind Aaron Rodgers. He's top 20 in almost every single category, whether it's yards, touchdowns, attempts, completions. He checks touchdowns. He checks all those boxes as being a top 20 quarterback, statistically, of all time. Now, the era is different, but for all of the knocks that Russell Wilson isn't a passer, all of his numbers are, over the length of his career, and it's been a long one, that he is a top 20 quarterback. But you take the bad teammate, Seattle, and nobody has looked better in this than Pete Carroll coming out of the Russell Wilson thing.
Yes, being the guy who was ahead of the curve and understanding and kind of letting the air out of the sails.
Masking all of the dysfunction behind Russell Wilson. And it was it wasn't this hunky-dory, everything is fine, and then at the very end it fell apart.
No, the defense wanted to kill him from basically 2015 on.
Pete Carroll kept that thing together. John Schneider helped keep that thing together. And all those guys on the defensive side of the ball, they all kept that thing together too. I mean, but Pete Carroll comes out of this looking like
the Richard Sherman tell-all is going to be.
Everybody went Brady Belichick. All right, who's the brains of this operation? And everybody's like, oh, it was Tom Brady. Now you're looking at Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. It's the coach, not the quarterback.
Interesting that's the one where I think people thought that Wilson was being held back. Remember? I mean, the narrative there for
That was
so long
so
was that.
stupid.
That's a pretty good psyop by Russell Wilson's agent in his camp.
Let Russ cook.
Yeah.
No, I was never on the let Russ cook bandwagon because we saw what letting Russ cook did. Protect Russ at all
Yes.
costs. And that's why I think Pittsburgh will be a good spot for him.
Because you can minimize that if you can get them kind of figured out.
Well, that's exactly that's the style that Mike Tomlin wants to play. And, I think George Pickens will want to kill him. But that's a different story.
That's a different story.
So I think that if you go, Cousins goes to Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
if Russ goes to Pittsburgh, Baker stays, the Justin Fields, his landing spot becomes a little bit more gray because I don't think Chicago is going to be trading him to think of the teams that would need a quarterback then. Denver needs a quarterback. Minnesota needs a quarterback.
Las Vegas.
Vegas needs a quarterback. It
The other
appears
teams are
that the
drafting
Patriots are drafting a quarterback. Washington's drafting. Obviously, Chicago's drafting. So you look at where does Justin Fields go? I don't think they're trading him within the division. They're not going to send him to Minnesota and be like, hey, good luck with Justin Jefferson. We only have to play you 2 times a year.
Unless they're sabotaging the Vikings.
That's not a path that I think they want to take from a perception standpoint. So then you go, all right, Justin Fields, if Atlanta's not going to trade for him and Pittsburgh's off the table, Tampa's off the table, does Denver or Vegas trade for Justin Fields? And I think those are becoming more and more viable options. And a guy that I think would be really good in Minnesota, Gardner Minshew. A guy who can
starter?
He could just spin it. And you just going, he's just going to go and he's going to spin it for a season. And then because they have to figure out what they would do at quarterback at that point. And who are the quarterback options? I mean, do they go and get into the Russ Wilson if Kirk leaves? If Kirk leaves,
what does Minnesota do?
You're looking at Minshew. You're looking at trying to trade for Fields, and then you dip into the retread guys, and that's why I'm like Gardner Minshew is because who are those guys? Trey Lance, Ryan Tannehill, Flacco.
Yikes!
Nick Mullins, who's a backup there. Those are your options.
Oh, God!
Or do they try? Or are they going to reach and are they going to draft a guy?
Because if you're doing that, if you're going retread, I mean, or if you're punting on the season, kind of at quarterback, why not just start the teardown?
Just trade everybody, huh?
I mean, seriously.
See, that's it. But this also goes to
Kirk
the
Cousins
idea that
being your demise.
If Baker Mayfield stays in Tampa and Kirk Cousins stays in Minnesota, then things sort themselves out a little bit easier. Because then at that point, I think Atlanta is trading for Justin Fields. I think Russell Wilson still's going to Pittsburgh. And I think that the teardown is happening in Denver, and they are stopgap quarterback. Go for a year. We'll see what happens. And it's not going to be the end of the world for them. But if Kirk Cousins does, in fact, if it is real that he goes to Atlanta, that throws a wrench in multiple teams in what they try to do.
And this is it, Kirk Cousins being your demise. That hurts.
But if Minnesota lets Kirk Cousins walk, you know who's a great option if you want to draft a guy and you're saying, the hell with it? It takes a really unique spot for Michael Penix to make sense in the first round because he can't get hit. Yep. You don't want him hit. If you have your targets that they trust and they rely on. Minnesota's offensive line was really damn good pass blocking last year. Like they were really, I think the Pro Football Focus had them, I think, third or fourth in their pass block win rate. One of the best pass blocking offensive lines. That's what you need. And it would make sense. You could win. Like Penix, he has everything. He has the arm strength, accuracy. He's got it between the ears. He would be a guy that could be very successful early. But the injury concerns and the injury history, is it too early to go and get him? Because I think they're in that 11, 12, 13 range with, Vegas and other teams looking for quarterbacks. You're sitting there going, ugh. I think it's Denver, Minnesota, and Vegas are all kind of lumped in the same range drafting in that first round. That's where you go, is our offensive line good enough to take that perceived reach, even though talent-wise, I don't think it's a reach to go Michael Penix Jr. But the injury history, you've got to have an offensive line that can keep him upright and keep the hits away from him. And yeah, you got 11 is Minnesota, 12 Denver, 13 Vegas.
This made me think about something here. What is going to be a bigger, I don't want to say problem. I'm trying to think of the correct way to phrase this, because I think this is an interesting question about the value of quarterback, not only in this kind of free agency class, but in the draft. What is more likely to occur? A team overpays for a Kirk Cousins or trading for Justin Fields, or overdrafts the non-top 3 quarterback?
It is more punitive if you overdraft the next quarterback that doesn't fail, or that fails, right? That hurts you, because if you're taking a guy in the first round, that's 4 years with a 5th-year option. And this is a draft where you're going to have guys that can play a really long time in that range where you're going, 11 to 13. Like that, reaching that's the ultimate roll of the dice, and you have to be 100% dialed in on his medicals and making sure that it's not. I love Michael Penix Jr. As the prospect, as the quarterback, he is so stinking good. But you cannot deny, and everybody's like, well, he played the last 2 years at UW, and he was so dinged up at the end of this season. We all saw it. We all saw it. Did he come through? Absolutely. He came through when his team needed it the most. But there's the questions and there's the concerns, because the NFL is a different animal, man. When you get touched up in college is completely different than when you get touched up in the NFL week in, week out.
Which is an interesting spot to go to, because somebody out there wondered if a particular coach may have ruined Russell Wilson. We'll get to that and more coming up here on Danny and Dusty. But first, here's the Big Kahuna, the Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tanasbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, after losses to the West's top 2 teams in the Timberwolves and Thunder this week, the Trailblazers host the Houston Rockets tomorrow night. Portland 17-44 on the season, the 5th worst record in the association. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Timberwolves center Karl Anthony Towns has suffered a left meniscus injury and will likely miss significant time. He'll undergo further testing to determine whether a procedure is necessary or if there are rehab options. The Nets announced point guard Ben Simmons will miss the rest of the regular season due to ongoing back issues. Simmons has appeared in only 15 games this season due to the injury. He has a $40.3 million expiring contract for next season. Jerry Dulock of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reports the Steelers interested in signing Russell Wilson and are tentatively planning to meet with the quarterback before the start of free agency. The Broncos releasing safety Justin Simmons. Since entering the league in 2016, nobody has more interceptions than Simmons, 30. Multiple reports say the Dolphins have agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal with tight end Jonnu Smith. The Bears reportedly signing cornerback Jalen Johnson to a new 4-year, $76 million deal. Multiple reports say the Saints have signed safety Tyrann Mathieu to a 2-year, $13 million deal to stay in New Orleans. On the college hardcourt, Oregon men's basketball enters the final weekend of the regular season tonight, hosting Colorado. Coverage here on The Fan starts at 5:30, immediately following a truncated version of Primetime, tip at 6 o'clock, and can be seen on ESPN2. And on the women's hardcourt, 17 seconds left in the second overtime. Number 13 Oregon State leading number 18 Colorado 81-76. Reagan Beers with 27 points and 13 rebounds. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rush at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Daily Boost is the podcast for in-depth analysis on the sports betting landscape. Listen on Odyssey or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, it's
seem like all that long ago. We were 2 games into the Broncos season, and I sat there and looked at you and said, they're going to fire this Nate Hackett guy real soon, because everything he was doing with the Broncos was the NFL equivalent of Adrian Griffin with the Milwaukee Bucks. You just threw your hands up and went, what the hell is going on? Nothing made sense. Nothing added up. The organizationally, from top to bottom, what they were doing both on and off the field, just the more you found out about it, the more it made you wonder what entirely was the plan.
It is an organization that just, they don't get enough credit for how poorly run they've been.
It was
over the last handful of years.
insane.
It's been brutal.
Is Nathaniel Hackett the one to blame for ruining Russell Wilson? That's something that Mike Golick Jr. brought up as far as the debate.
I do wonder how different this all would have been if Nathaniel Hackett wasn't the hire for year one of this, right? Like, we talk about this all the time for young quarterbacks in this league, how, listen, you're so much at the mercy of the environment that you end up in when you're drafted. And, you know, look at Trevor Lawrence, year 1 to year 2 with Urban Meyer, and then Doug Peterson shows up down there. Obviously, it's not perfect right now. We have some questions still maybe about Trevor Lawrence on the high end, but it was night and day from a coach in Urban Meyer who just was not ready for what the NFL was asking of him to what happened when you had someone who was more the adult in the room. The same thing could be true. Like, again, Russ's raw stats from this last season weren't terrible. Took a lot of hits, but you go back and the reputational damage that happened during that Nathaniel Hackett season, where it wasn't just bad, it was a laughingstock. They were a red zone nightmare. It was all these things that in a day and age where we had been pushing chips in the table, and I was in that camp of saying at the end of the Russell Wilson tenure in Seattle, hey, if it's between him and Pete, you keep the quarterback. You keep the guy that's been a part of a multiple versions of winning around there from the Legion of Boom to after that. And I was dead wrong on that based on the structure they had clearly put in place around Russ that aged well when Pete took Geno Smith to comeback player of the year and the playoffs in that year right after that. So I was wrong about that on the front end, but I think we saw this last year. It wasn't as bad as it looked in 2022.
Well, that sounds eerily familiar to what we talked about with Adrian Griffin with the Milwaukee Bucks and Damian Lillard. The whole idea of bringing in a first-time head coach with a veteran team with expectations. I think you're seeing very, very, very similar things in how disorganized, dysfunctional, how maybe they thought they were a little smarter than everybody else in the room, and how it just cratered.
I think the big whiff in all of that, though, is it didn't work with Sean Payton either. And Sean Payton did not hold back.
No.
They were oil and water personality-wise, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Personality-wise, Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson, they actually were
vibed
step by step, and everything worked out. I don't think the coach mattered. I honestly don't. I think the personality of Russell Wilson had more to do with his downfall in Denver. They protected him and propped him up so much and did it appropriately in Seattle,
quietly,
where Pete Carroll was able to basically guard Russell Wilson from the rest of his roster, and to do it without alienating people to the point where the main goal of winning never became the issue is where Pete Carroll, I think, is a genius. You cannot do that, and you can't replicate that anywhere else. That's why I think that Russell Wilson in his next stop, his success is going to be defined by him being willing to take a step back from being the image that he has portrayed
the humility
in Seattle and Denver of Mr. Unlimited and Broncos country, let's ride. He is fake.
Yes.
His teammates in Seattle said it. His teammates in Denver said it. We've heard it publicly from them.
We've heard the code switch when he gets caught on IG on Ciara's
He
IG.
has got to be who Russell Wilson actually is. And that is what is going to be the factor in if he's successful. I don't think Nathaniel Hackett had anything to do with it. I don't think Sean Payton had anything to do with it. Sean Payton, the system of Sean Payton got everybody else to buy in a little bit more, but they were already out on Russell Wilson. I don't think that's Nathaniel Hackett's fault. I think it's Russell Wilson's fault.
I'm going 98% Russell Wilson, and then I'm gonna go 2% Hackett because Hackett was there tying the ball and chain around Russ's ankle and pushing it off the cliff to speed it up.
Yeah, and here's the
Putting
thing
him
about
in the
that,
second
though.
floor office.
But did Nathaniel Hackett do that, or did management allow it to happen?
Both.
Because I would say management allowed it to happen, and Nathaniel Hackett was just like, "Oh no, we're gonna let our guys be who they are," and that was a miscalculation on everybody's part. It's that his time in Denver has
be
got
studied.
to go. It really does. It's got to go down as one of the biggest backfires and image and career altering for any player that we've seen. Because how many times does the quarterback leave somewhere and it ends up like that? Like we've seen Russell, like what Russ at the tail end of his career, he leaves, he goes somewhere else. This didn't happen to Phillip Rivers even.
No.
Phillip Rivers, his body deteriorated and his game did, but it wasn't just like his image got completely destroyed when he went from the Chargers to Indy. That's not how it worked out. Like Tom Brady, that sure as hell didn't happen with Tom Brady.
No.
He went and won a damn Super Bowl. Like when the Peyton Manning, Indy to Denver. Nope.
It's
didn't
because
happen.
the force, like the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of this, the cross sport is Carmelo Anthony going to the Knicks.
Yeah.
He did so much damage, again, Denver, to his reputation, where he left a team that was in the Western Conference Finals, took the assets from another team to get you, putting yourself in worse position.
Yeah.
And took all the money, making it impossible to build around you.
Becomes irreparable harm to your image and your legacy as a player.
Where if you had just stayed or played out your career and then moved on, where are you at?
Well, he couldn't do that in Seattle because his contract was big and they were like, nope, we're done. He couldn't even, and that is the hubris of Russell Wilson, though. The unwillingness to have that acknowledgement that,
Make that change to
maybe
save
I'm
it.
not. Maybe I'm not that guy anymore. Seattle said, fine. Good luck, Denver.
We'll eat $26 million so you could eat $85 million later.
And take everything from the Broncos. Yep.
That's not nailed down. I want that too.
Well,
it is Walmart after all.
We will see what happens with the Denver Broncos
if not Pittsburgh,
moving forward, because it does not appear they don't have a quarterback of the future.
Oh, God.
And although this class of quarterbacks in free agency and on the trade market, there's a lot of players that are available that can get you to a point of competitiveness. I don't think it's not in the cards for any of them. Denver is not
so many holes.
The place that they want to go.
No, and not only that, you have so many holes in that entire team. Here's the insane thing: if I am running the Broncos, and I'm saying that running it properly, not as a Raiders fan wanting to run it into the ground, I don't take a quarterback in this draft.
You just roll out Jarrett Stidham.
I think you are in such a terrible spot that if you try to draft a quarterback and you put them out there, you are going to Bryce Young him.
I think if you have in the second round, if Penix or Nix are there,
sure you can visit.
Sean Payton is going to jump on that.
But I'm saying in the first round, you just have too many.
No. But so your receivers are Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Tim Patrick.
Patrick's
and then
coming
you
off
have
an
Marvin Mims
tear.
too. You have Marvin Mims, who's young. They drafted him last year. You're not completely void of talent, but you got a lot of ground to make up. And I think you need Sean Payton to mold somebody. And if those guys are sitting there for you in the second round, you jump at that and you probably trade up to go and get them if they're there in the top 5 picks of the second round.
I'm saying you can't reach.
No.
You are not in a position where you can reach right now. You just have so many problems. Real quick, Russell Wilson, if not Pittsburgh, where? Don't you say it. Don't you say it.
No, it really does. It makes the most sense for him to have Devontae Adams and to play in Vegas.
Kind of throw a little wrench in here.
Yeah.
The Athletic just posted a story predicting where free agents will go and rookie quarterbacks. They have him going to back up Anthony Richardson on the Colts.
I wouldn't want him anywhere near my second-year quarterback.
That does not compute. I mean,
Anthony
does
Richardson
Shane
is-
Steichen want that?
Yeah, Anthony Richardson seems like as far as the off the field intangibles is like wonderful. I would want Russell Wilson nowhere near that.
Not one bit. Not one bit, unless they're really concerned with Anthony Richards' injuries moving forward.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, he only played what in
4 games?
4.5 games.
4 games, got hurt in 2 of them.
Yeah.
Nope.
Ugh. All right. Well, there you go. Good stuff. Russell Wilson. Problematic on his own. Didn't need anybody else's help to be ruined.
And Denver's offensive line, not bad either
Not
to
bad.
protect a young quarterback.
They don't need to reach for Alter or Fashanu, even though they won't be there, 12 or whatever there's anyways. All right, coming up next, we'll put a nice little bow on today's show before we hand you off to Isaac and Sue. Come up here on Danny and Dusty, 10 the Fan. Suk is getting ready for the show here, coming up in just a few minutes with him and Isaac, and He came in with the very cold take of, did I really hear Will Ortner say he could take a punch from Mike
Yeah,
Tyson?
that's true. It's the talk of the town right now. It's why it's the worst day on the web. It truly is the talk of the town.
And for those that missed it, Will Ortner this morning on Dirt and Sprague filling in for Old Dirt with Sprague said
Does he work here still?
He's actually back in 2 weeks.
I believe his return date is the 18th.
Yeah.
It's just Ann Sprague right now.
Yeah, it's just Ann Sprague. But Ortner said he could take a punch from Mike Tyson, and I asked Suk, I don't think he could take a punch from you because I was like, how old are you? And he's 11 years younger than Mike Tyson, and not a professional boxer with the most lethal punch on record. And Will Ortner, for those that are unaware, has never actually been punched. Not been.
That's still surprising.
Not been in a fight.
Do they not fight at practice at Central Washington?
I guess not.
Man, I don't know. Maybe they just liked each other.
Well, what pillow fights, tickle fights? I don't know. But without even being prompted, right away, Suk went to, if he gets hit in the liver, he's dead.
Yeah, that's what I think would happen is Will would protect his face,
turtle up,
and get hit in the midsection. Mike Tyson knows how to land a liver shot, and it would just be done.
Just that left hook right to the liver that folds you up.
Done.
And Will Ortner would poop himself.
Probably, before and after the fight.
Yeah,
both times.
Got him right in the brown note, huh?
Yep. Just
that's why you don't go to the ring on the loaded stomach.
Now that would be the hard part. Unless you're a nervous pooper, because some people are. But the hard part would just be like going into a fight and just making sure you don't have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no time. You can't pull a Lamar Jackson and waddle into the tunnel.
No, not in the fight.
There's not enough time to do that. I mean, you have to make sure you're good to go for a good hour.
You can't even football player. You can't even just pee down your leg.
And it's actually even before that because they start tape up your hands and then they put gloves on you and those things you can't just take those off.
What do you do if you got to poop in the ring?
You just go, man.
Depends.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. You Bob Doled that thing. That Bob Dole joke. Look, boxers or briefs. Depends. I guess you could do that with both candidates in this year's election.
God.
Oh, man.
Maybe we have Mike Tyson fight them both.
No. What? Again, Danny wanting people dead.
Yeah, we're just speeding up the succession line. That's all. That's all.
Oh, goodness. Well, today went places. Oregon State women, they ended up winning in double overtime. 85-79. The Beavs hold off Colorado there. And that's a big win. Oregon State scored 32 points in the overtime periods. They scored 22 in the first half.
Yeah.
So
not great basketball being played in that first half.
The lid came off the rim for Oregon State in that overtime period, and really at the end of regulation because they were trailing throughout the entirety. Like nobody could make a bucket early. You had Reagan Beers was
Hooper.
the